right, so I want to follow up on the whole Eddie Edwards title change situation. Just want to follow up on all the backlash. So yeah, the general consensus is a lot of people think this is a positive situation. There's a lot of positivity. A lot of people seem to be almost 100% behind the title change. But some people kind of have mixed feelings about it. They don't think it was really the right decision because of the build-up and, the whole Davey Richards thing. So a lot of, there's a little bit of complaints on both sides. But I think I want to start with the video like this. This is pretty much going to be a response to BigRat and his video. Just want to follow up on all the points that he made. He made a lot of good points, but I think I still think that giving Eddie the belt was the right decision. So that's just my opinion. But let me just start with the video like this. I just want to say that I think why do we how come Eddie Edwards is so hot all of a sudden? How come, like, all of a sudden, like, the guy's just massively over to the point where he's probably just a little bit more over than, even a guy like Davey Richards? So I think there's a lot of things for that. I think when you see a guy like Eddie Edwards, first of all, I just think he's a great guy. He just seems like a very, very likable guy. Once in a while, you take a look at a guy. He looks like he's clean. He doesn't look like he's on drugs. He just seems like a good-hearted guy that works hard and just does the right thing. I think that's number one. Number two, his ability to fight through injuries. We've seen him wrestle with a fractured elbow, broken clavicle. Well, not broken clavicle, but I guess it's a fractured clavicle, whatever it was. We've seen him, wrestle in ladder wars and survival of the fittest, and finish out the match, win matches, and still put on good performances. So I think right there, that pretty much captures the heart of fans, especially in New York City. He just developed that connection with the fans as a hard worker that would just suck it up and just go out there and do whatever it takes to get through the match. So I think he has people's respect. So that's number two. And the other thing is he's improved a lot. I think the improvement thing. I think people like it when someone works hard and improves day by day by day, and you pretty much grow up with them and get better. And I think that's why a lot of people just connect with Shawn Michaels. You look at Shawn Michaels from like 91 to like 98. You saw the improvement every single year. I think that's why a lot of older people, when HBK come back, I think that's why he had a lot of support, because we pretty much grew up with Shawn, throughout all of his, when he was making his way up in his career. So, I think that's another reason why Eddie it has connected with the fans a lot. So, but yeah, bottom line for me, I think, giving Edwards the belt was a phenomenal decision. I really think this was the right way to do it. I don't like I said time and time again, I don't think anyone really envisioned, Roderick Strong being the champion for 6 months. I think, considering his limitations and considering that he's not really an awesome all-around performer, and the whole Truth Martini thing, it was okay. It helped Roderick a little bit, but I don't think it was really getting the job done. You could see a lot of people lost interest by the time of the 9th anniversary show. So I think a change needed to be made. I started thinking about, some of the possibilities that ROH could do a final battle. Obviously, you need to do at least one feud. I mean, there's really not a lot of feuds going on in ROH right now. And I think you need, if you want to make a lot of money, I think you need to, have guys interact with each other and guys turn on each other. I think you need to have a strong heel versus strong babyface. So I started looking at everything, and I thought Eddie versus Davey was probably the best possibility for final battle. And I still believe that. I think a heel Davey Richards and a face Eddie Edwards is the best way to go. I know some people don't want to see Davey turn heel, but this is just my opinion. I think Davey is a perfect heel. I don't see him as being like a baby. Like, as far as a feud goes, I think he's much better in a feud as far being a heel in a feud than a face. That's just me. When you look at Davey Richards, you see a killer. You see someone that's going to rip your fucking guts out. That's what Davey is to me, especially in 2009 when he first started teaming up with Eddie. I really feel like he was really coming into his own as a heel. With Eddie, like I said, he's a likable guy. I see him as a babyface. I think Edwards as a heel would just be awful. I just don't like that idea. I just don't think that will work. I think it makes perfect sense because, for the first time in a long time, I always thought the Randy Orton Triple H turn was very well executed. I thought the turn was great. How, Triple H turned on Orton after SummerSlam when Orton beat Benoit, because Triple H could not beat Benoit, and Orton was the one to do it before Triple H. I just thought they made such a great storyline. But now, but after that, I really feel like they dropped the ball with it to have to feed Orton to Triple H that quickly at Unforgiven. I felt like they really dropped the ball with that. So I've been anxiously waiting ever since then for them to see a feud or a storyline kind of capitalize on where they went wrong. And I think you could really do that with Davey and Eddie if they slowly drag this out. And when the turn is, I think the turn needs to be done right. I think Davey is going to turn on Eddie. Like I said, I think it's inevitable. The only thing is, do you rush it or do you do it right away? I think you need to time it out perfectly. It'll be tough to do as a booker, from a booker's point of view. I think this would be a nightmare to book, but I think you really need to do it right, and I still think that's how you need to do it. You need to have Davey turn on Eddie. I just think it's awesome. We've seen Davey turn heel in the past, particularly on Bryan Danielson and Dragon Gate. I just think, it just has the making for such an awesome moment, and I think Delirious has to do a very meticulous job of executing it at the right time when the fans least expect it. So I still want to see that. I think rushing Davey and Eddie at the Hammerstein show is just a little bit too soon. I think a face versus face match between them, it'll be cool and everything, but if you do the face versus face match, I don't think the anticipation for Final Battle would be there at that point if they were going to do a rematch. I feel like this would be such a bigger match if you do the turn before the match. I still believe that, and that's just how I would do it. So that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people would disagree with that. There's some people that do want the face versus face match. I know Next Big Thing wants it. I know Honor Hammer wants it, and I guess BigRat wants it too. So yeah. So that's one portion of the video. The other thing is, I just want to follow up on some of the points that BigRat made. How all right. So let's start off with this. Let's say Davey Richards turning heel is not a good thing because Davey has pretty much become the poster boy for Ring of Honor. He's out there thanking the fans for coming to the show. He's pretty much become like the John Cena. No, I don't think BigRat was necessarily comparing him to he should be the Cena of ROH, like the top merchandise seller. I don't think he was saying that. I think he was just saying that Davey should have became the face of ROH. I don't know. I don't see Davey being that guy, like that ultimate baby face where he thanks the fans, and I just don't see it. Like I said, I see Davey as a heel. I think I think eventually, he's going to be a heel down the road. I just see that as a more natural fit. So that's just me. That's just what I believe about that. The other thing was, he kind of said that it would have made more sense for Davey Richards to win the belt at Final Battle over Roderick Strong, and then for Eddie to win the belt from Davey. I don't know, man. I think it's a little bit too predictable. That just seems like something that you just wrote. That's just something that I could see someone writing that up, and then I could see you just sticking to that script. I think that's something you could see coming a million miles away. But I think giving the belt to Eddie now just really, it really created that huge magical moment, that shocking title change, which I think is something that ROH needed to do. That's just me. I mean, I'm thinking about the last time where you were really legitimately shocked that the belt changed hands. I guess you have to go back to Morishima, back about 4 years ago. Like I wasn't even watching ROH at the time religiously, so I can't. I mean, so this is the first time where it's really been done, where it really shocked the shit out of us. I feel like they dropped the ball with Nigel. I feel like they've been dropping the ball with the last couple of title changes for a very, very long time. So I think this is definitely something the company needed. It definitely brought life to the company. I mean, ever since the 9th anniversary show, you saw the buzz for ROH legitimately died down, after Final Battle. I guess you're right. People were disappointed that Davey didn't win the belt at Final Battle, but I think, giving it to Eddie really, made up for it, though. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So, the other thing was, you said that, I think you and C-Dude agreed that this should have been done on a pay-per-view. I would really disagree with that. Now, you said that, because they don't have TV now, it was crucial to do it on a way where this could be televised to a live audience. I get what you're saying, and I think, I think in a way, if you're trying to get more mainstream fans to follow the company, I think you're right to a degree, but at the same time, from a financial perspective, what's one of the biggest ways ROH is bringing in money? I mean, you pretty much call them I wouldn't call these house shows, and I think house shows don't really do these shows just that term doesn't really do these shows justice, because these are still Manhattan Mayhem 4 was still a big show. They still promoted it. This is still on DVD. This is going to be a big seller. So I feel like, like I said time and time again, ROH relies on DVD sales as one of their biggest sources of income. So I think doing it on a DVD taping is a smart thing, because I think essentially, pretty much every hardcore fan is going to order the WrestleMania weekend shows, because it's a great deal. 2 shows for $20. I think a lot of people already pre-ordered the show or already ordered the show, so they pretty much have a lot of money for that already. But with this, you can cash in and have people buy this DVD. This is going to be a big seller on DVD. I think when they do title changes, the DVDs pretty much sell, I would imagine about twice as much as a typical ROH show. So I think from a financial standpoint, I think doing the title change, I mean, not doing it on pay-per-view, I don't think it was a terrible decision. That's what I'm trying to say. The other thing BigRat brought up was that there is no build-up for the match. There was a lack of build-up, but I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, Eddie Edwards and Roderick Strong, like I said before, that Edwards really wasn't, like, if you thought Edwards sucked on the mic, I couldn't necessarily disagree with you. And at the same time, everyone knows Roderick is weak on the mic. So you really didn't have the elements for a great build-up for this, especially in the video wire. The other thing was, you couldn't really do it on HDNet, because I think Eddie Edwards was in Noah for the first couple months of the wintertime. So, that they were at a disadvantage with that. But I don't know, for this particular match, I think not having a ton of build-up kind of added to the surprise element. So that's just me. I think that made the match a little bit more special. I don't think anyone in the right mind thought Eddie was going to win it before Davey. And, I just think that's what made everything such a hot atmosphere. So I guess that's how I would counter that argument. And then the whole thing about Davey Richards, I think you wanted Davey to win the belts at Final Battle. Don't get me wrong, yeah, everyone's been saying it, Dave, since, 2009, Davey's been the best in the world. He's been, the guy that has been really carrying the bulk in ROH, really delivering great match after great match. You would just expect the title change to have come by now. It's kind of a shame, and who do you really blame for this? I think, you could attribute to, the main event scene. There was a lot of competition in the main event scene. You had Aries, Black, Strong, then you had Davey, now you have Eddie. Claudio and Hero. I mean, there's a lot of guys that could have ran with the belt over the last couple of years. And at the same time, you can't just give the belt to anyone. You don't want to have, you don't want it to be like the Undisputed Championship in 2002 when you had, the belt switching every single month. So someone had to take a hit, and I guess the guy that really took a hit was Davey. I feel like, if you want to blame one situation for how, Davey got fucked as far as the world title scene, I think you need to blame Tyler Black. And, I'm serious when I say that. If you look at the video wire before Tag Wars, when Davey finally found out that Black was leaving to go to the WWE, watch that promo again. I legitimately thought that Davey was, seriously pissed that Tyler was actually gonna, go to the WWE after they had that classic match at Death Before Dishonor 8. Because to me, I really feel like after Tyler beat Davey at Death Before Dishonor 8, I feel like, I really felt like Tyler was going to be the guy for a very, very long time. Like, that match was pretty much just done, to bring a whole new level of importance to Tyler Black's reign. And now that Tyler was going to shit on the company and just leave, I thought the timing was bad. I thought Tyler really should have waited it out. I thought he should have signed like a short-term contract with ROH and waited until it was right for him to lose the belt. Because I think he lost the belt way too soon. So that was a mistake. And, in retrospect, letting Tyler Black have that whole title reign was totally pointless. If things were going to play out the way they played out, I really would have went with Austin Aries and Davey Richards. Not at Aries versus Richards, but I think at Final Battle 2009, I think that was the perfect time to do the title change with, Davey going over Aries. And I think that would have been beautiful. So, Tyler Black, I think he really fucked ROH. I'm not saying he's a sellout. Obviously, he's got to make money by going to the WWE and everything like that. But still, I think if you want to blame it on something for Davey's, title win being delayed, I think you need to blame it on that. And from Davey's point of view, I wouldn't say he's pissed off at all. I would say Davey is very, very supportive of Eddie. I think if anything, Davey probably pushed for Eddie to win the belt even before he did. I think Davey Richards is at the point right now where he could sell DVDs on his own without being the champion. And I think Richards versus Daniels is proof of that, because you guys were there at Final Battle. You saw how Daniels versus Richards was, it was almost sold out at the merchandise stand when I bought it. So I think that's proof right there that Davey's such a draw. He doesn't have to be the champion just to sell tickets or to sell DVDs. I think he's kind of like Bryan Danielson, where if he's just in a main event match on the card, people are going to come and flock to see him anyway. So I think that's another reason right there. And at this point, like I said, I think giving the belt to Eddie, it was a fresh thing. I think so. As far as rushing Davey versus Eddie at the Hammerstein show, I would not do it. And I know some people was talking about a face versus face match, but I think you could do the Davey turn in the summertime, maybe like in August or something like that. But it's got to be really well done, though. But yeah, as far as this Hammerstein show, they're marketing this show as the biggest show in ROH history, and to sell out the Hammerstein Ballroom, I feel like they really need to bring in some Noah talent, or some foreign talent for this show. I would imagine Pro Wrestling Noah. I think that's what everyone wants to see for this show. And I think at that show you could do Eddie versus Kenta for the title. I think you could do Davey versus Marufuji. I think there's a lot of things you could do. But I'm assuming that foreign talent are going to be brought up for that show. So I'm saying that you could save Eddie versus Davey for Final Battle. That's what I'm saying. But to me, I just think there's so much more options you can get out of it by having Eddie as the champion right now. That's just the way I feel. I really believe that. And I think the other thing was, I know BigRat said that ideally the situation would have been to have Davey win at Final Battle, and then for Eddie to finally beat Davey eventually at the next year's Final Battle. I think like some other posters have already stated before. I think that's it. Just like I said, some of the ROH championship reigns have been really drawn out, really long, very predictable. Like I said, by the time the guy wins the belt, it's like, who cares already? And I feel like that's something that would have been just a little bit too predictable. But I feel like giving Eddie the belt now really drove home the fact that this was shocking, this was fresh, this was something different. So definitely agree with that. But I think the other thing you said, that you didn't want to see Davey win it as a heel. I would love to see Davey win it as a heel, because it'd just be a new direction. He wouldn't have to worry about the pressure of sucking up to the fans. But at the same time, I don't think it's like a necessity. I don't think there's a good chance. I'm going to say this. I think there's a good chance that Davey might not even ever win the belt. He might retire before he even wins it, or he might just fade into obscurity before the time is even right for Davey to win it. But who knows? I think Davey. I think if anything, if you still want Davey to win it as a face, then maybe you could have a guy like Christopher Daniels or someone like that be a transitional champion, and then for Davey to finally beat them. Maybe you could have like an ultra mega heel, maybe like a Claudio Castagnoli, beat Eddie Edwards, and then Davey could finally dethrone the evil Claudio Castagnoli at a Final Battle. I think something like that could work. I think that's a possibility right there. But I think Davey winning it from Eddie as a heel, it's something that I wouldn't rule out. It's something that I would like to see. I kind of get your point about saying that it seems a little bit too stale. It seems a little bit too late. Not something you want to see, because he kind of fucked the whole storyline with Davey working his way up to the belt, to the title. So I get that, but still, I still think there's a lot of options you could get out of this. I don't think this is the end of the world as far as that goes. I think there's still so many options that you could get out of this. So that's pretty much it. All right, take it easy.